Good evening.
Good evening.
We are here. Give us a moment as we read and line the energies within the room. Now, we will speak to you for a while in your terms this evening about what it is that you are not noticing within your own lives. A call has gone out. Do you know what that means? A call has gone out. And mankind is stirring deep within himself and herself. It is as if a portion of the self were coming awake and alive, birthing itself, so to speak. You are each answering an inner longing that is stirring you towards your greatest fulfillment. We can say to each of you, honestly, those of you gathered in this room this evening, that what your lives are about, what you are striving and yearning for, is the greatest fulfillment in this now that will reverberate and affect all of the other portions of the multitudinous self that you are. And this being that you are, this conscious entity of humanity, knows how powerful a time that you are all living in. And this being also knows that there is a veil that is being torn asunder, that is being parted and lifted, so that different points of view and different belief systems can find a validity, a true validity, and map the course of a world. And that is what you are after. And that is what you know deep inside within your beings. And it is that you forget often, because you relinquish the power that you are by thinking that certain events happen to you and that you do not design or create or have hand in their form. Now this evening, we will continuously, through the course of what the discussions will be, we will be reminding you that the world that you are all seeking is right in front of you. It is a hand's reach away, if you can but realize it. You are all beings who have been and are continuously implanted with light. Now, all of humanities on the earth at this time have each been implanted with a spark of light that is growing within them. But you all consciously seek out, whether today or at different portions in this particular lifetime, you seek out that what would create a growth in a knowing within the consciousness that you are. And you do not realize to what extent the information that you have gathered and that you are responsible for it has been a personal quest for each and every one of you, perhaps something that you would not so often share with others, that you would keep as your deepest secret. Well, what it is that has been occurring on your planet is that there are many as you are. There are many who have gone through their challenges and struggles and expressions of creativity in self, always looking for more. And as always looking for more, implanting themselves with light. We are here this evening to tell you that you all have the experience directly in front of you to part the curtains that exist between the world that you think is and a world that you wish to be. Now, knowing that that would be the teaching this evening, that what it is that you are after is directly in front of you, who wishes to ask us a question?
I'm in the process of building a building and developing land around it, a school and community. This is my vision. Would you like to comment on the impact it'll have on the people in this room?
We would say to you, what is the desire that you have for the impact?
A post-chaos life center.
Then perhaps you will draw those to yourself who are fleeing from chaos. Now, we are going to play with you this evening. There are some of you who love that, and there are others whose hearts quicken when we say that word. We are going to play with you. Relax, place yourselves in comfort. Have fun. You are learning about yourselves. When we asked the sir what his desire would be about his educational school light center, what is his intention, what we are teaching you is that what he intends is what his experience will be. And that is why we said perhaps you will draw those fleeing from chaos. Understand your construction, by the way, is a reality. It is a reality that is pulling you forward from its future into your present to a certain extent, because this is something familiar that you have done before. You have been in positions, shall we say, of teaching or carrying on the administration of teaching. You have been we see you at the most influential time affecting this one is when you are in Spain and you are the abbot of a monastery. Now, what we are saying to you is that your construction is a viable reality. But from where we perceive the you that is now branching out to what it is that is drawing you, there are many paths to take. And if you choose to work with those who will be freeing chaos, then that is who you will bring to yourself. And you would be up to your elbows and knees in work. There are other probabilities and other options. And as we see it, the experiment that you will be on will go through perhaps 3 versions of itself before it settles into the most comfortable form that it will take. And it will be an experience that will allow you to pull together talents that you have been holding up your sleeve, so to speak, for you have the magician abilities within you as well. What else would you care to discuss on this subject?
We have spoken in the past about, and I use the term chaos because 2 weeks ago you used the term chaos. This time that we are going into now, which I presume we will come out of at some point in the future. I guess I was looking for a little more guidance than just whatever I want will be, as far as what will be included in addition to the school. How broad a field we can go with this.
You may go wherever it is that you choose.
I figured you'd say that.
You are in knowing. Now, you will laugh. That is wonderful. We love it when you laugh, but that is true. You are in knowing. And we are here to remind you of what it is that you know. Now, we spoke to you and we said that the construct is a Bible experience, that it will, as we see it, take 3 different turns before it settles into what it would be. And we said to you, these are all clues and hintings, that if you choose to deal with those who are in chaos, you will create that as one of the groupings that you would choose to work with. There are many. You could select those. Many are in need. Many are in need of light implantment, which is basically all of you, in whatever areas you may now find yourselves. What you are working towards now, presently for your own lives, is the implanting of light within the being that you are. And light creates a state of expanded consciousness, a state where you can see more of the identity that will spontaneously manifest when unfettered by cultural rules and beliefs, and that form the paradigm of experience that you are presently in. We are ripping apart the construction of your world this evening. It is as if it exists in front of us and we were to take our hands and tear the paper down and throw it aside and say to you, select for yourselves a new construction. We ask you all to question all the information that is coming to you within your world, including the information that we ourselves bring to you. Now, we have indeed spoken of the chaos that is to come in the next decade that lies ahead of you. It is probable indeed, but it is a great probability. You are set on a path of destiny, so to speak. And that destiny is formed by the desire of each and every humanity on the planet to move. You do not understand what it is when we say this. We are speaking over and over again of a completely different reality that you will be perceiving, all of you, within this lifetime, and it will happen as a spontaneous growth of mankind. Now, speak.
When?
When? Do you wish us to tell you May 26, 1997?
No.
Well, you may mark that date if you so choose.
But in more general terms, 5 years, 20 years, or does it matter?
In larger terms, in terms that you all know very well, there is no time. And it is the personality that always wishes to translate ideas into the world we have just whipped up for you. That world holds the idea of time. You understand that, do you not?
Yes.
Can you understand that when you attempt to squeeze activities on the calendar year, you completely distort your whole concept of who you are? You put yourselves down to the little compartments of days and then hours and then minutes. And you are actually unfettered consciousnesses. You are free. Granted, you exist in a form. That form has much more freedom than you will allow it to do. For that form will tell you when all of this is going to occur. You would know that things are bubbling and bursting around the planet. As you yourself are changing and bringing to the surface the issues that are freeing you, as you claim the wholeness of who you are and the rights that you have to feel good and to be in a world that you choose to have. As you are claiming this and awakening to this knowledge, you are changing the world. Now we jest when we say 1997, for understand that when you exist in a free will society, it is up to you. If you were to laze around for these next 9 of your years or so and say, well, it's going to happen in May 1997 and I won't do a thing about it. Do you understand how that as you desire, each of you desire deeply to make your life's experience grander than it now is? And if you cannot conceive of what that is fine. But to believe that you can grow into something greater and that you are not merely growing into old age. That is the most ridiculous, limiting belief that you have cultivated on your planet. Do you have any idea what you're all doing to yourselves? Believing that you are getting old? You are shutting the vehicle down far beyond its natural range. And by believing that the vehicle is weak and susceptible to disease and difficulties, and that it wears down every day, you send that message. Then it responds. Then your thought manifestation is a direct reflection of what you have been sending. And we are here to remind you to be on your toes about what you are thinking, about yourselves, your world, and your experience. And if you are going to build a light center and to have a school, then we suggest you give some thought as to how you wish it to run, who you would like to be there, who would be working for you, how financially you would like it to be set up. And you do not have to take pen and paper out and belabor the issue. You can. We are famous for saying this, when you are driving in your auto vehicles. Your minds are running here, there, and everywhere. Trust yourself that you know how to drive at this point. Trust yourselves that as the molecules in your body, through the intention of you sending them along the path of where they're supposed to be, they don't collide into each other inside of yourself. And if you trust that the vehicles on the road are an extension of the well-being within your body, you do not have to worry about getting into auto accidents, and you may utilize a uniquely designed time to fantasize to a certain extent about the realities that you would have within your lives. Now that was a mouthful and an earful as well. And that is how it is. Questions?
Then the reality that I changed years ago was the reality that I created for myself.
Always the reality that one brings into one experience is one of many that a present portion of one is focusing on. When you come to a juncture within your lives and you are in need of making a decision, there's a portion of you that moves in either direction. It is the multitudinous self, the self who is layer upon layer of self, the self who is primarily after the gathering of experiential data. Now, experiential data can be something that is merely sitting in a chair for 50 years and contemplating the room that you spend your life in. That is experiential data. Experiential data is changing one's place of living and jobs every couple of months and partners and whatever. Experiential data is whatever the self, the humanity that you are occupying, needs to express itself most in that particular moment. And it is the oversoul self, the higher portion of the self, which is poking and prodding at you to do a certain something. That is why it is always best to look at whatever that is coming into your life as your own creation, your own choice out of all the possibilities. That way, if you feel that you are unhappy or in discomfort with what it is that you are finding in front of you, if you understand on some level that you place it there, then on some level you have the ability to remove it simply by saying, this is not what I wish to experience. Void. I don't want that reality. And as you find that you can flow in and out of realities quite simply, you will find that the changes that are waiting to come into your lives, that are offering new experiences, can be quite exciting changes, because it's easy to move in and out of different situations and opportunities. When you relinquish yourselves to the fear that the reality is thrust upon you, then you give up who you are. And if you find yourself in a reality that you cannot stand, and you have given up your power to extricate yourself from the situation, then indeed there's a portion of you that needs to feel trapped and confined so that it can gain full luster of the experience. And that the soul needs to be etched that deeply in order to create a thrust forward into another area of development. Questions?
What can you say of the times when you find it difficult to know what our ultimate desires or ultimate intentions are?
We could say many things. We could say, first of all, that the self, when the self is analyzing and planning as to where it needs to be and does not have the vision that is in front of it, is because you are not trusting your now. If you all would learn to live in the moment and within the moment to live completely, you would find that in every successive moment they would fit together and they would build the bridge from one to the other. But when you are in this moment, this now, and you are wondering about an activity that if you did it in this now, the consequences that would have in 2 weeks from your now, or 1 month from your now, and you find that you are worrying, you are not being in the now. For within the now is the spontaneous, impulsive self that propels you with excellent intentions towards activity and experience. Now, you must use, of course, your common sense. But you all, we would say most of you, are not overrun by the impulsive self. You are overrun by the one who thinks it has common sense. And you will put the floodgates up. You do not allow yourself the free expression of bursting forth, trusting that whatever harebrained idea you have today will be a success tomorrow. For those so-called harebrained ideas or impulses are intended to move you and to guide you. As you learn to trust who you are, you will learn that the imagination provides you with all of the answers, and that the self is indeed an intricate library of material that you can call on at your will and your whim to house forth information that will assist you in what it is you need to know. But it is confidence in this. It seems to us, as we come into your reality and we observe who you are, and we see who you are, particularly those of you who would gather here in this room, it seems to us that you are not to compare, but far in advancement of where you think you are. This is a puzzle to us to a certain extent, that you do not comprehend where it is that you are acting out of. Now you may chuckle, and that is fine. Perhaps you understand what it is we are saying. Perhaps you do indeed know that you are farther ahead and you pretend that you are not to trick us. So it's me, but we may give up victim teaching. It is very generous of you if that is what you are doing. But we can see through your guise. So we will know as we do that you are knowing as well.
Some of us, though, who do believe in some of the harebrained schemes that pop up into our minds and have tried them, are curious, though, why it is that sometimes, with the greatest of faith, that this is going to work out beautifully and successfully, it is that exactly as visualized, are extremely startled and surprised when it doesn't. And it falls about you and it channels. Now, I have an attitude that every time that happens, something good is going to rise from it, but I do have to pause and wonder why I have to go through that intermediate step of watching it sometimes crumble down.
Now, this is most interesting. Among your many talents, you are trailblazer as well. You have literally done this in the deepest of jungles. You have done it through dense woodlands. And you have done it over snow and ice. When one has a tendency within one's soul character, one tends to act out a certain portion of that energy because it is a familiar niche, so to speak. If you cannot blaze trails and create roads for people to walk on literally, you will blaze trails of experience for people, and you will test the deep waters and demonstrate that they are safe. Now, you would not be creating catastrophe upon catastrophe if you did not cultivate the belief that there's something good in all, that the universe is offering you a greater opportunity. It is something that you do to show others so that they can say, well, remember when this happened to Duffy and he said, well, something good will come out of it. Now, perhaps we might begin to think of that too with this great catastrophe that is in front of us at this time. And then, because you have blazed this trail of experience, you have affected many whom you do not even understand that you have affected, and who will take the opportunity of so-called disaster and catastrophe to learn. And eventually they will learn that they do not need to create disaster and catastrophe. They can create whatever it is. But it is a form of taking responsibility and seeing that the world is not out after you, only your thoughts. If your thoughts believe that the world is after you and humanities are not to be trusted, then unerringly you will draw to yourself those experiences that will demonstrate what you are thinking.
In order to trailblaze those, I think many of us here again in this group are trailblazers as such. What we have to do, though, is leave the mass conscious thinking, which is the paradigm that we all entered willingly in this reality. But we have to be able to cut those ties and those bonds of familiarity, if you will.
And that you are doing.
That we're doing. But you say, why aren't we ahead of where we could be? I think it's because it's a letting go process. And also the other thing I think that comes into it is that we know the stuff first upstairs in our mind, but it takes us time to put it out into practice in our lives.
You are learning integration.
Right, we're timid about doing this stuff. It's a step-at-a-time process. And the more successes we get on a small level, then the more we'll bring it into the greater issues in our lives.
You all need but take one area of your life that works, that you resonate with, that you feel good about. And it could be something so simple as knowing that you make a great breakfast for yourself every morning before you leave the house. But it is the confidence and the essence that you feel in performing something that we are attempting to tell you to capture. And as you can tap into the way you can prepare yourself with ease and comfort and reliability a good breakfast, then you can intend to prepare the rest of your life and your experience with that same knowing. You do not realize what you do to yourselves. We have continuously spoken of this. You do not understand how for what seems to you a large chunk of time, you request how you want your world to be. But it is not a large chunk of time, because you are making an effort to concentrate on this. And so it may seem that 4 or 5 times a day you may think very intently, you may write it down, or you may pray, or you may have a meditation or whatever, to bring to yourself what it is you want. And then what is it that you do for all the other minutes in your day? If for 5 times a day you took 5 minutes to think of what you want. And then are the other 23 and 1/2 hours spent in worrying on what it is that you know is going to happen? Or the reality that you are stuck with? Now, we have said to you often that it is not an issue that you must belabor. You must learn, all of you, to map where it is that the mind travels. Where are you on your so-called downtime? What are you thinking of? Learn to observe who you are. Learn to develop a sense and intent of well-being. Ask continuously for light to be implanted within you. For each time you ask, you are given. Each time you ask for light to be implanted within you, you are given. Perhaps it is a dose so small, but it makes a difference. And it gives you a clearer picture. And understand this. The world that you live in is finely balanced at this time, and this balance is changing. As we see it, the large sector of your humanities will be going over the bridge in large groups, so that there will not be one here and one there who sees the new reality and has the veil whipped from in front of them, where perhaps the same scene a moment before was like a still life painting and suddenly came alive in front of you, and the communications from the animals was understood, and the rightness of nature and the rightness of mankind and the correctness of all that is would resonate through your beings. It is not as if one would experience this. You will be doing it within groups, and it will happen over a period of a short time that the whole of humanity will reverberate with this change. It will not be instantaneous for the whole humanity, but as greater numbers draw more into themselves, they will be able to pass it on to others. It is a phenomena that, unless you expand and stretch your minds to understand, will not fit into the compartments or the shoebox of the third dimensional world. Questions?
I read in a book recently that in silent meditation and a receptive state, that with the help of spirit helpers, whatever, that a communication device is created, where once it is created, it is always there, and you will more directly receive guidance. Could you talk about that?
Is this something you wish to put into your life?
Yes.
Then you may indeed. Understand this. There are others who have heard us speak of this before. It is the basis of what it is that we speak to you on. Thought, the written word, the spoken word, creates the experience that lies in front of you, that makes doorways through which you may all pass. If you read something or you are told something that sounds very right to you, that gives you an upliftment, and that says to you, I would like to do that, then by all means, pursue it. We have said to you that all that you hear, all information is true. Because if you place your energy and your thought and your belief behind a system, you can create any reality that you choose. But it is the conviction of thought and experience. That is why we said to you, Would this be something you would be desirous to put into your life? Now, if you are looking to refute it, you can refute it. If you are looking to implement it into your life, to have it serve you as a form of personal development and communication, then indeed it would be a tool. You all must understand that you are highly creative and that there are tools of experience that you utilize within your lives. And there are those who come onto your planet who are manipulators of form. Although in your reality you have not given that label of a profession to any, there are indeed manipulators of form. Those who write books are manipulators of form. For as you read books, you implant within your mind a visual experience of what it is that you are reading, and you give life to worlds. And so a manipulator of form gives a tool in such a way that one can enhance or alter one's experience. Is that understood by you?
I think for me in particular, it's this question of conviction and refutation, because indeed one wants to believe in one's intention, and yet there is some aspect of the self that seems to refute it. And it's that ambivalent place that we sometimes find ourselves in that I think we're all grappling with. It's Duffy's vision that blows up, and he didn't particularly intend to be helping others with his vision. He was hoping for something to come into his world, and this is a good that has emerged from it, but it wasn't his intended good. And it's that area that I find myself stumbling.
It has to do with doubt.
Yes.
And you do not believe or you do not feel the extent of what your doubt does. Your doubt is most powerful. But like you have your brushing your teeth and your bathroom time, whatever else it is that you do in your reality, your meal times, give yourself your doubting time. And place yourself in a chair and say, now I'm doubting everything. I really doubt. I doubt. And then get it over with. Instead of interweaving it throughout the whole portion of your day. It has taken over your lives. And it is, understand, it is a teacher. It is here to propel you forward. It is here to make you question, as we are attempting to make you question this evening. To question the world as it presents itself to you. To question the definition of the world in all forms, whatever your experience may be. To question what is truly good for you and what is truly bad for you. And what is it that you want? And what is it that you are afraid to go after? And what is it that you have as your secret longing and desire, and then you doubt that you could get it and you could never get it, and so it is safe to want it because you would never have it anyways. And then of course you can't create anything, because if you really could, you would create what it is that you are really doubting you can get, but that you want more than anything else. It's quite complicated. And you do not see, because you are yourselves. What it would do for all of you would be to step outside of yourselves a bit and to disassociate yourselves so intensely with who it is that you think you are, and to create an expanded point of view, and to learn to step around the self, and to learn to tap into the many portions of the self that view your experience. When you are doubting and when you are down at your lowest point, understand that you are looking from one narrow perspective of being, and that you are stuck there and you need to be there so that you can see and have compassion for a portion of yourself that is learning to come and vibrate with the other portions of themselves, of yourselves, who are tempting and who are liberating their own experiences through their intent and their desire to do so, and through their belief that they are indeed about something. That is the great test that is occurring now and will be perhaps for the next number of years on your planet. For you are being tested, we have said this too, and there are polarities occurring on the planet, and you are going to be thrown, some of you, into situations of tests so that you can decide, do you believe like the masses do at that time, or do you believe inside of you what you know is correct? And eventually the masses will make a great shift, but there will be some times of confusion and discomfort, and that is for you to show yourself your own conviction about yourself and about the pathway that you are on. Questions?
I have a question that I sense is related to what we're talking about recently. While driving, I made an effort to cultivate an awareness of your energies, and found that I was successful, very successful, and the next thing I knew was a sense of shock, perhaps fear, and let go of the awareness. Could you perhaps explain that process?
Now, listen, for just something that will be occurring within your lives. As you believe what it is that we are telling you, that is what you already know anyways. As we are reminding you of what you know, and you dare one day to act upon it, you go into shock when the portion of you, the small portion of you, is moved forward into a place, particularly if you're quite comfortable and you're quite open and quite daring. It is a new experience. And you shut down because it is as if you do not know how to integrate and define what it is that is occurring with you. It does not fit in what you have been told, in what society supports that your experience can be. And so you block these things off. And this is the necessity now for many groupings to be gathering on your planet so that you all can meet one another and reinforce the experience of one another so that you are not afraid to traverse into unknown territories. Your experience in your society is quite flexible. There are many ways that you can move forward. What it is that we see occurring on your planet is that literally there will be, through a new vision, a new natural way of seeing and being, a harmonious state of existence that will be universal on your plane. Now, we do not know if it's 1997 or 2007 or 1993. It depends on the progress of each and every individual to bring about this desired change. This is why we said in the beginning the call has gone out. There's a note a note of reverberation that has been activated, that is being activated on your planet. And it is this that you are seeking to respond to in whatever way is most appropriate for your life's experience. And whatever way that is totally correct for your being. And will lead you, if you have the desire now, to the greater expansion of yourself. And if you wish to expand and work with others, then if that is your intention, then so it shall be. You are in preparation. And those of you that are the forerunners of preparation will be perhaps assisting others who are just beginning to feel the stirrings and rumblings that you've all been feeling your entire life. Question?
I'd like to go back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier. I could think of a situation 3 or 4, 5 years ago where I decided I wanted something, and at first didn't see how I could possibly get it, but just I knew somehow it would work out. And roadblocks were put in my way, and each one I removed and worked and worked and worked and worked, kept being told, no, you can't have this, I can't do it. I'm going to anyway, and finally succeeded. Absolute willpower got it. And when I did, I didn't want it. Everything about it made sense, except it was a piece of equipment, and it was a bad piece of equipment. Everything else about it, logically, thought it out, this would be a wonderful addition to the other pieces of equipment I used. But this particular one was not good. And they didn't have one that could be replaced. It wasn't just that particular individual one, it was a whole line, and there wasn't anything to take its place. It seemed like a good thing to get, and I was positive, and I kept on affirming, I will have this, I got it. And it turned out not to be a good thing. How do we always know that what we visualize and think we want will turn out to be something that we're happy with once we get it?
Now you are asking two completely different things here. You are assuming that because you ask for it, it will be a good experience. Is that not so? You all think that you would not ask for something that would not be a good experience. And yes, you all have had surprises, turnarounds, and you all have along the way, always, that if there's to be a surprise in store for the self, you are given indicators, roadblocks, so to speak, that go up around the event so that you may change the course of your event if you so choose, but often out of single-mindedness and stubbornness. You stick with what it is that you think you want instead of surrendering your control to your highest good or the reality that perhaps would give you the greatest benevolence. If you insist on the greatest growth, then that is your goal, and no telling what you are going to get. Now, you only took the incident to a certain point. What is it that came about after you were stuck with this, what it is you did not want?
As it, of course, turned out just fine. Once I realized it was something I didn't want, it all fell into place, and I was able to give it back.
Then you are not stuck with something that you didn't want.
That's right. But the question, the reason I brought this up was, here was a situation where I genuinely thought this was a very positive thing to do. And in that case, yes, roadblocks were put up, and I was able to overcome them. In other situations, I have gotten, as to use your words, a harebrained idea to go after something. And instead of being given the option in roadblocks and things like that, it was just snatched away. And after it was, I realized, thank goodness it was. removed. I wasn't even given an option. It was just pulled right away from me.
Now, experience will be different for each individual. And perhaps this for you was a lesson in stubbornness and the ability to create what you want and to teach you to read your world more clearly. That if you are intent on wanting something and doors seem to slam in your face, and in general you do not create a world where doors slam in your face, then we would suggest you to question the path that you are on. If you are of the belief that the road to the top is most difficult and that you have to knock on many doors and there will be many who will refuse you, and it is a struggle the whole way to get what you want, but you can always get what you want, then be prepared. Because it will be a rough and rocky road indeed.
It is those in-between situations, I think, that we're grappling with right now.
Yes, it is. You are not. No, there are none here who are dealing with, in general now, life devastating situations. You are dealing with intermediary energy. You all have done much work in your lives. And it is this fine tuning that you are after now.
Right.
It is the fine tuning of, as we spoke with Leslie the other day, of reading the symbolic world and allowing the world and its symbolic representation that is a result of your thought manifestation, allowing it to speak to you. And learning how to read that when one roadblock comes up and then you are on the way to pick something up and the road is closed down, and then you go another way and a policeman stops you, you would by that point hopefully say, why is it that I'm being deterred from the direction that I am headed in at this moment?
If I may,
Certainly.
thank you. It is that there is this mass consciousness that we seem to attract to ourselves when we attempt to move in a direction that is our own, that may not be in concert with what is the general teaching or belief. And it is trying to make the distinction between a roadblock that is indeed symbolic, that we are not to proceed along this path for reasons that have to do with the self, with our own evolution. And those roadblocks that appear that have to do with the mass belief that is held, that is all around us, that believes that this is the way it is and this is the way it's supposed to be, and what you're attempting is ridiculous. It's making those distinctions. That's where I think I find myself in great difficulty.
Now, you we are trying to think of the most gentle way to say this to you.
Go ahead.
Now, we are teasing. For she always braces herself like we are going to pounce on her. And you are creating your world, are you not?
That's true.
We are merely a player within your list of characters. We thank you for inviting us in. Now, we would say this too. We jest and we tease so that you can become relaxed and so that you can understand that it is not so serious what it is that you are all after. It is a portion of your evolutionary experience. And you all go around pounding your chests each day because you think you are failing and where it is that you think you should be. Now, perhaps that is a portion of our energy that is not understood by you when we say that we see that you are quite aware. When we say this, we take the whole picture of who you are in terms of speaking. And yet when we speak to you and you cry out, as just was done by this lady, in representation of all of your feelings, we see that it is easy for you all to shrink as little children, because often you think that there are great empowered beings and that you are not having any of the abilities that these great empowered beings have, or what you think they have. And so you constrict yourselves and make yourselves smaller in your own mind's eye than you indeed are. Why not give yourself credit, even if you do find one thing that you are doing correctly? Do not focus on what is not working for you. This is what you are learning about. Focus on what you are succeeding in. Focus on those that you are drawn to your life. Focus on your meditations and focus on your visualizations and the information that the spontaneous, impulsive self is speaking to. And then the part that you do not feel is there, pull it forward. Know that it will follow with the rest. Know that your development is inevitable as the sun coming up in the morning of your skies. You are all on a path. And you must learn to be gentle with yourselves and to love yourselves. And do not ask us to justify the smallness that you are feeling. For it is but a momentary feeling. Allow it to come and allow it to go. It is not the overall essence of who you are. See it as a mood that comes in. See it as a portion of the self that is attempting to integrate with the whole self. And when you see this portion of the self that seems confused or does not know which direction to go in, study it. Who is that character? And how does that character need to be integrated and loved and implanted with light? And ask at those times that you are implanted with light and that you are guided to your greatest development. And don't worry, and be happy. Now, questions?
That symbolism that we take, and the directions that we take, is a unique vibratory signature for these things around us and the positions that they represent in the fabric of all that is real to our senses.
Which things are you speaking of?
The images of reality,
The
the
world,
presence of the matter that we can physically touch in our present form.
which
The
is
things that are affected by our desires and our direction.
the direct result of this experiment and your abilities to mold this experiment in this place and time. Understand this, that you will have lived many times. Many, many, many times. You have dipped in and out of multitudinous experiences of physical reality. And each time that you have lived, the world was a different place. And each time there were problems and worries and challenges to overcome. And each time it seemed that that was the only way the world could be. And you all have experienced realities that had laws that were quite different than the laws that affect you now in this time. in this time that you live, the laws are quite jumbled, and it is quite fashionable in this era that you live on Terra that almost any way that you choose to be is accepted, at least in the country that you are representative of. And that is why you are here in this country, for you are all quite rebellious within the deepest portions of yourself. And you wish to have no boundaries set around you as to exactly how you wish to dance your dance of life. And in this reality and in this world, your United States, you are given the ultimate freedom to do this to a certain extent. To a great extent, we are here to remind you that you are unlimited beings. Because that is what you need to be reminded of. That is why you choose this society with this flexibility and then the support, so that you would have one another to acknowledge and say, go be crazy, I applaud you.
I find myself wanting to take issue with you when you say that this society is so flexible. Wouldn't it be much more flexible?
Indeed, we are not saying, when we say that this society is so flexible, perhaps we should say that it has the potential to have a very flexible reality. And perhaps you would agree with me if we speak further and we say that it has the potential to express itself in many, many ways, in many fashions. But certain institutions have created great restrictions of being on your world. The medical situation, the educational situation, the scientific situation, the historical perspective have all clearly defined your world. And there are many who would never question whether that information is correct or not. It is the ultimate of the egocentric self to believe that all information is correct and to not question any. There's always a larger picture than the one that is being presented to you. And we have said over and over again that as you learn, and if you are to speak with us, the same grouping 1 year from now, we would be discussing a larger, expansive world than the one that you are now capable of conceiving.
Is it possible for us to live in this society and yet not allow it to take our power, and yet not allow it to force us to live within its limitations?
It is your choice. You are not forced by anyone or anything. And this is the ultimate of your challenge, all of you. You're all waiting for your world to change. And guess what? You are going to change. And as you firmly become entrenched in who you are, and you firmly design the most minute detail of your life, you will find that a world that would vibrate with this great desire and spontaneous creativity would manifest around you. For you would literally place yourself in a world where that energy was compatible, if that is your utmost desire. You will think you are battling the world. How often have we spoke with the hammer and nails? You will think you are going to change the world by reconstructing it. Not so. You are going to change the world by reconstructing yourselves.
As we reconstruct ourselves, as we realize our own visions don't we alienate ourselves from those who have different visions?
Now, we are tiptoeing around the word alienate to a certain extent. When one is on a life's journey of expression, whether it be through the darkest depths of the personality or the greatest heights of light, one will bring into one's life those that would support one to achieve that desire. If your desire is for a well-balanced and harmonious world, you may look at it as alienating those who do not desire it. Or you may look at it as drawing into your life all those who would have the same belief system and would desire the harmony that is possible. There are always many sides and views to every situation. And you learn to understand your own prejudices as you learn to see how you get stuck in one way of thinking and how you are arguing for your hopelessness to a certain extent. You are looking for an incident to say, well, give us a time and tell us when it won't work. We really want to know when it won't work. And what we are saying to you is that we can always tell you how it can work. There are no limitations. There are no obstacles that cannot be overcome. And the simple key to this is belief. Understand this. There have been ancient ceremonies on your planet. Those in the mystery schools and the temple lives. This will resonate sound within some of you. These institutions have been on the planet from the beginning of time. Many have been drawn to them, committed from young childhood to live separate from society, to be taught outside of the normal paradigm, so that a world of experience could be closely nurtured and constructed around one. And as this world, this small world within the temples, was structured, and as one learned to develop a certain way of thinking and being and belief system, it all led up to a time when realities would be traversed. In your Egyptian schools and others, it was called the initiation. It was an experience when the individual was greatly prepared, a lifetime's worth of work, and that one sought consciously to understand and to face multitudinous realities and to literally change the experience by understanding that the experience was a result of a focus of thought. And no matter how horrible the depths or uncomfortable the experience, one could move out of it. Now this was pursued by many because instead of committing lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of experience, many have had a quickening within themselves to take it on, so to speak, and to see and to learn in concentrated form in one life. Hence the lives that were expressed in those ways through the temples and initiations of different cultures. Your challenge in this, your world, is to do it outside of the temple, to make the world the temple, and to garnish great strength indeed, not through constant nurturing and tutelage by those who would make your path easy by designing and preparing you for the experience. You are choosing to remember yourselves, what it is that you have been shown over and over again before. And you are doing it in a fun way, because you are doing it without an authority, and you are doing it from many teachers, and you are finding your learnings everywhere, and they are justified for you. For as we said, all is true. You are in a climax and a culmination of life's experiences. For you are unfettered. You have the ultimate freedom to choose. And that is why we say, will you remember what it is that you know? And our answer is yes, indeed. You are remembering. You are taking a new form of doing it, a new expression. And you will be most pleased. You all are most pleased at the way that you are rebelliously expressing the joy of greater being. Questions?
I'm building a business that I see as a bridge to what I think is my purpose, or what I think would be fun to do. And I think my question is do I, first of all, really need to build the bridge? And if so, can I do it fast?
As we read your energy, we are seeing, yes, you do need to build a bridge. There are certain steps towards certain ends for some individuals. Some create roadblocks and think that they are building bridges. They trick themselves, for they are afraid of what it is that they are wanting. You are not so much afraid of what it is that you are wanting. You are not quite ready for it. And so this bridge of what you are doing will give you the know-how, so to speak, of a certain type of material experience that would be of great benefit to you, and a certain accumulation of material experience and goods, in order to give you, as we would say, a firmer platform for you to move further ahead.
Have I done this business before?
What it is you are doing now,
Yes.
the handling of monies.
Yes.
To some degree, yes, indeed, you have. We see you at one time. We see certain visions of individuals, for those of you who do not understand what it is that we do. You are wrapped in many cloths around your head and around your body, and you are wearing much clothing. You are a man. And you have what is called, we are searching for the word, it is a rectangular form with the beads.
Abacus.
Abacus, is that the word? And you count off for others, and you figure for others, and you do this for the exchange. You also tapped into that particular energy because from ancient society, before you worked with numbers, when you were, in your terms, what you would call primitive, you were very aware, and you understood the connection between the planets the earth and stars, and you are able to understand a certain measurement that exists. And so your mind has been programmed, or it leans in the direction of measurement and understanding that there are codings that exist that allow the world to speak to one. Now, in your present day world, this is not to you, sir, it is to the general room. In your present day world, this ancient knowledge of codings has been totally distorted into all sorts of nonsense that you will think is the reality. But these codings are there for you to utilize. So you have the abilities to utilize the material flow of energy with the numerical symbolic concepts that speak to you. And they will speak to you when to move on. Do you have a further question for us?
So I should wait to hear rather than be impatient and wondering what I can do to speed up the process. Is that what I understood?
What we are saying to you is that you are where you need to be to accomplish a certain accumulation of experience and material energy and knowledge before you can move forward. When it is right for you to move forward, it will be there, it will fall in place for you. We have spoken to this most recently, we've spoken of this most recently to Leslie. Whenever you are in doubt as to what you should do, and you will suffer from this, you will torment yourselves with should I or shouldn't I, goodness. Understand, keep it clear in the forefront of your mind what it is that you wish to experience, what your desire is. And trust that when opportunities are correct, and that when all the necessary elements and individuals involved and the energies that are most opportune are all in line, the event will fall in place for you with mastery. And begin to expect this in your life, but also begin to settle yourself into a certain patience. A portion of the impatience that you are feeling has to do with the acceleration of time. Now, we have spoken of this before, that time is vastly accelerated, that your weeks fly by. It does not seem as if there are 24 hours in a day. The days certainly do not drag for you, that they fly away. Zoom, they are gone. And so, because there's a portion of you that is experiencing this acceleration, and it seems as if you cannot get enough done, impatience sets in, because it seems as if time is flying away. Now, if you believe that you are getting old on top of all these experiences, woe to the individual, because that will enhance your impatience about where it is that you think you are going and how much time you have left to do it. But if you can separate and carry with you the idea that the reality of the world is changing, you are not reading about it in your newspapers and the Walter Cronkite, what is his name now? We are not saying it, Cronkite. Well, whoever it is, you know of whom we are speaking. That he is not on the television telling you, watch your clocks, reality is sped up, so you do not quite believe it. But you know it. Is that not correct? It is something that you know, but it is not being fed to you, so it is not official. And so you go into conflict and you become impatient with yourselves. And this is why we have said to you over and over again that it is most important for you when you find you are impatient or you are in a strange mood with yourself to step outside and see how many different experiences you can see and feel. What is it that you know versus what is it that you believe? Versus what is it that you are being told? Versus what is it that you think you should be doing? Now, if you made that little column of feelings out, you might get a better picture of the great turmoil you're always placing yourselves in, an attempt to align. And it is not that if you wrote out those columns and saw that you felt one thing, and that you believed another, and that you were told another, and that you thought you should do another, that if they were all different, you would say, my world is collapsing, what good am I? You would merely say, I see now what they are telling us when they say that we are moving in many directions, we are attempting integration. Your greatest alignment is to be with that you know. If you know you will be doing something, do not worry about the time frame. Allow yourself flexibility, because the time frame as you experience it is changing, it is altering. Although in your society, it will be the last Bastilian to give way. The sun could rise and set in 4 hours, and they would still insist that there's a 24-hour day. That is what we mean when we say it will be the last Bastilian to be changed. For scientists believe, and so because they believe, it can't be other. It is fact. It is that we are asking you to throw by the wayside and to allow the flexibility of experience. Experience, personal experience reigns. So trust yourselves. Trust that it takes, in your terms, a certain amount of time to align, and also for the greatest good of yourself. Often you are waiting for another. Often you have made agreements to perform certain activities or interactions with other individuals, those often that you have not met yet. And so you are waiting for them to do their work, to be caught up to you, or perhaps vice versa. You do not understand the intricacies of events. And if you learn to wait patiently and to know deeply within the self that what you are desiring will come about when the energy is ripe, it will be instant.
About 25 years ago, an individual whom I consider to be a great master, John Kennedy, moved across. Why is it that now, what is it we're supposed to be learning by all the flurry of activity, questioning his death? They're bringing up again, without getting into a National Enquirer kind of approach to this thing, I'm only interested in why his name is being brought up so much now, and as to who assassinated him. So.
He was, on your planet, the president of your country, the leader of every country, is the country's symbolic agreement as to who represents what they are, the majority. He represented rebelliousness, youthfulness, confidence, self-assurance. He tested deep waters. He was an individual above all else. He was also greatly loved, because as one studies, one sees that if the family was that large and they all loved the individual, then the individual is indeed loving. It is a demonstration, so to speak. It is an indication of who an individual can be. Now, who this man was and where he is now and the circumstances surrounding his now infamous inauguration and reign as president for the time that he was is greatly distorted. He was a great leader. He chose the role that he chose, knowing that there would be implications that would reverberate out for eons. Because he was greatly loved, there will rise a great indignity on this planet, particularly within this country, as to the misinformation that was being given about who he was. As we see it, and when we say as we see it, you understand that we are speaking of probabilities now. As we see it, part of the term chaos that we have used before would be the linkage of certain information that has been suppressed. Now, it is not a coincidence that his anniversary death is being celebrated at this time. And there are many who know and who have kept themselves in quiet, as there are many on your planet who know many things, who have kept themselves in quiet, primarily for fear of their lives. There are many with great secrets, and the secrets are coming forth. Now, this man, John Kennedy, he is a symbolic representation of one who would be unfettered, of one who would do as he chose to do, believing in his own greatness and creating from his point of view the greatest good for the greatest amount. That has been implanted as an image in the psyche of those in the United States. And when the full data and the implications and intricacies of his reign and his death are brought to light, it would act, along with other things, as a final. It could not necessarily even be final. It could be the initial movement towards moving people to begin to question what it is that they are spoon-fed by the media. You are also willing to believe all that you are told because it comes over a little box, or because you pay 50 cents for it and it is established. You believe that to be true. We say to you again to question all that comes your way. We would speak on something that we would reiterate to you, for we understand that there is concern with this. We have spoken that the years ahead will involve much chaos. We would also wish to add that during that time, if you choose your life to be in order, and if you choose to be in alignment with harmony in yourself, and be well provided for, and be a worker of light, a light center, or to be aligned with those who understood what was happening and facilitated their time within this chaos, then life will be a most enjoyable, pleasant place for you. The chaos will happen for those who do not understand what it is that is occurring. And chaos comes about to bring greater order. if you all understand that that is needed and that you are placing yourselves in order, then there's no need to be a victim of any chaos or any need to be afraid of the years that come ahead. For whether you plan for it or not, if you intend harmony, then you will have the greatest of experiences. And you will not be affected by any falls or change in the so-called society of the world.
I'm working on a project. I wish to give tools and gifts and help to many. Will this be a help in the coming years?
As we see it, those who need to partake in that form of change for themselves will be coming to you, and indeed it would be a service. Understand that each one can touch others in a very unique way. And if your intent is to create a world that is generous and harmonious for others, then and that would create the greatest good for yourself and for them, then the pathway will be open to you, and that those who need what it is that you are offering will be lining up for you. I understand that if you are motivated by greed and power, and that your financial status is of the utmost importance to you, then you may be lining them up indeed, but no telling what will be transpiring, for you would have great lessons to understand. We would also add there's nothing wrong with bringing in your green energies and money. You limit yourself to how much you think is possible in your lives by how you think you can receive it. You do not think that you could go digging in your backyard and dig up a chest of it. You all think you have to work so hard for it. You think you have to put in time for it. And as the time becomes accelerated, you think you're not putting in enough time for it. And you get yourselves in tizzies with this whole thing.
I have a different problem. I realize and understand and have experienced that work is not always necessary for green energy, but I find myself not encouraged by this, but at a loss because of this. I think there's a certain stability that people experience with this limiting belief that they need to do this day to day, do this work.
Now, to a certain extent on your society, understand that you are dealing with a mindset that is basically shared. Now, basically, we say, is shared the world over and is ultimately shared within your United States. And that mindset is the paradigm of the beliefs that you are. And because you are not in love with yourselves, you have difficulty occupying large sections of your time, so to speak, with yourselves in an unstructured environment. You do not know what to do. And so for many, work is a necessary structuring of experience that because of your evolutionary path at this time, you need. Without it, you would be lost because you would not know what to do. It would be difficult for large sections of your society to be provided for and to not have to go and do something every day. What would you do with your time? How much television could you be watching? What is it that you think those who exist on other realms do? There are many realms of experience where thought manifestation is understood and that no one goes to work, so to speak, or mows the lawn, or works in the yard, or goes shopping, or cuts the lumber. And they have plenty to do because they are in a different reality of experience and they have found new forms of expression. And that is something that you will be working towards. And if you find that you are in a situation where you have alleviated the pressure of having to work to create money to keep you in the cycle of not thinking, so to speak, for your work to a large extent. Now, this is to a large extent, keeps you from being in contact with who you are. Because you become busy and you become active and you are not aware of who you are. And it is not work, indeed, to be who you are, but some of you would rather work than spend time working with who you are. Questions?
I have another question. And I ask this because I would greater understand who it is that I'm choosing as role and as teacher in my life. What is it that prevents you, or no, let me rephrase that. What is it that you have yet to learn before you can reunite with First Cause?
We ourselves.
Yeah.
Understand that we came from an ancient universe that all moved back to First Cause. We ourselves chose not to, because we understood what it was to be in the light of First Cause. And we choosing to forego that great experience for a time, so to speak, moved outward and committed ourselves to a new area of work and service and experience. And now, in terms of time, we have been here trillions of years in your terms within this universe. And it was equal that time that we had existence in our other universe, if you wish to speak in terms of time, which is all relative, which is all based on your theories of existence and how far everything is from everything else. At this time, we would not withdraw our energies from our commitments and say, we are longing for First Cause, we must return. We have a goal set forth for us so that instead of we, those that we were, those that we are, in returning to First Cause, that we would go out and we would bring others to First Cause, and we would act as the bridge.
Question.
Yes.
Why would the return to First Cause be desired?
It is a state of ultimate harmony, of ultimate joy, peace and beauty and knowing. It is simultaneous experience with all that exists. It is being everywhere and seeing everything and having compassion and understanding for all that is. Being one with First Cause is being everywhere. It is the ultimate in desirability and experience as we see it. That is not to say that there are not others who would have perhaps a different picture. It is as if who one is moves at a certain vibration, and that one finds that vibration existing in great amount. And as one moves into that vibration, one's note finally sings in harmony with multitudinous notes. This is the most satisfying experience imaginable. We, because we earned the right and understood what it was, did indeed go back, but we did not stay. For it was our understanding that we could go forward because we know what that is. We carry it with us, a portion of it. And as we said, we act as a bridge for many societies within your universe so that they too can experience this ultimate. Does that answer your question?
Then a portion of this light and unity is within all of us.
It is so. And it is the unawakened portion. And it is our role to act as a bridge energy. That is why we say, when we come and speak with you, we implant you with light. It is a portion of the energy that we carry with us. That is why we say to you, when you are in states of confusion or doubt or discomfort, to call upon light to be implanted within you. It is as if you are asking a portion of First Cause to trigger itself within you. Eventually, you will develop light realization, and you will unite not with the completeness of First Cause, for that is very far down the evolutionary scale. You will develop and align with greater portions of yourself, and you will see, all of you, that you are never alone, that your reality in front of you, if you stand out your arms, is full of entities. It's alive. It's full of consciousness. The air around you waits to carry your thoughts and messages to manifestation. The molecules dance. They sing with consciousness. It is this that you must realize.
How can we question critically your teaching as you've advised us to do, and also open up to the light that you offer us?
State it again, please.
How can we question the teaching that you offer us as you've advised us to do, and yet open to the light that you offer us?
You are saying that you wish to criticize, according to our instruction, what it is that we are saying, and then to ask for light to come in at the same time.
Now, I sometimes, in my moment when I was driving the car, in my moment of most openness with your energy, I felt a certain loss, and perhaps it's just an illusion that I experienced, my sense of self. But I lost a sense of my being an individual, my ability to critically distinguish self from other. My question is this: as I accept more and more of your light, do I lose my ability to?
With your own identity.
Yes. Or just
We are
discerning, exactly.
we understand, we believe what it is that you are asking. As you ask to be implanted with the light, what it is that you do is that you allow this identity that you cling to, the one that you believe that you are, that you only are. You learn that that identity is quite flexible and it's quite strong and it's quite long lasting, and that nothing is going to happen to it except the expansion of it. And so as you learn to put it aside next to you, so to speak, you allow another portion of yourself to expand, to indeed become someone else. But you have no fear of losing that initial identity. You have the challenge of integrating the initial identity with the expanded one. And it is that may seem like annihilation to you if you resist bringing the two together and realizing that they are one and they are not separate beings. It is not you who sit and drive in your car and this expanded Pleiadian consciousness. Each individual is a portion of every other portion of consciousness. And you have the ability to merge and to tap into the flow of energy and to perceive from any perspective without losing the identity that you are, merely placing it aside. And you are learning to realize that that entity, the first entity who is the one learning to integrate, is going to be bringing much information in and expanding who it thinks it is, so that eventually, as that being expands its conceptions, the travelings and the experiences will become quite fast. The mind is being triggered. It is being opened. It is being jolted. You are tapping into utilizing a portion of your brain and portions of the physical body that have been dormant. And if you would call upon this and ask to utilize portions of yourself that are there, that are waiting to become alive, you would see changes. You would have more room, so to speak, to store the experiences as you clean out the cobwebs in the closets of your mind. Open the doors. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
To some extent?
Yes.
Do you wish to speak with us further? Questions?
Looking at my energy, you referred to the grain. It has been referred to as grain before by several others, at least 3 times in the past period of time.
Green, you are saying?
Green, I understand. Looking into this energy is more knowledge presently that I have denied my spiritual self be of benefit to me in the endeavor that I have chosen to bring these changes.
To be fair to you, sir, there's not one in this room who would not benefit for more information to come into their lives. For you specifically, we would say to you that you have, because of an interest of who you are, a certain ideal that you wish to live out and to uphold as being sacred, because you have worked towards it. humanitarian expressions and desire are becoming freed at this time. And you are learning how to relinquish control and to allow the teachers that you need to come into your life to present themselves to you in a variety of forms that you may have difficult in recognizing as being your teachers. Now, we would give you a ridiculous example. A blue jay could be a teacher for you. Because as you learn to settle yourself and to not resist the annoying chatter and dive bombing and taking over that they do, you would see that there's something for you that is mirrored in the experience. And we are saying to you that those that you are drawing to yourself at this time are, in attempt, allowing you to tear down a certain fence that you have around yourself and to help you buy more land to build the experience of yourself on and to put up a much more pleasant fence around it, one that is not so foreboding, but one that merely defines a large experience and that keeps secure a certain energy that has been greatly desired and greatly handled and greatly loved. Do you understand what it is we are speaking of?
I have a general idea.
Allow yourself freedom. Allow yourself to study and to observe who your teachers are, for they would not state that they were your teachers in any way. They would merely be showing you something to quicken your movement into this expanded estate that you are inheriting. Questions?
I think we're ready for our energy exercise. Some of us are drifting away.
I have one more question.
Certainly.
Regarding the manifestations of structure and form of the crystals and the energy may portend that they hold and can direct. Can you give us some guidance?
On the crystalline structures? They are, in your terms, Mother Nature's gifts. All of the rocks and gemstones, well, all of nature forms as gifts to the self. But the crystalline and gemstone structures are living, viable entities. They grow and they change, they have a consciousness, and they do this at very slow rates of being so that it's not noticed. Different properties can be experienced within many, and one can learn to awaken and to utilize the energy within a specific crystal that they relate to either bring energy in or to send it out. They are senders and receivers. Many hold stored information that can be presented to you. Now, there are those who would say they are just rocks and they are nothing. Understand that a number of societies, quite successful societies indeed, have existed on your planet that have made major use of the crystalline structure and understand the sending and receiving power of the crystals. We would say to you, because of the prevalent belief structure that you are all involved in, and the ancient energy that is being reactivated for you to learn how to handle. Have respect for this aspect of the mineral kingdom that is coming forth at this time to present itself to those who would be in assistance, symbolically speaking, of bringing about change within their lives. If you are pulling crystals into your lives, you are asking for change. Allow yourself to feel comfortable with them and to utilize the energies that they are. Allow them to speak to you. Allow them in your quiet moments to come alive in your hands and to discern the difference between the feelings of them, and to not beat up on yourself if you find they are not speaking to you right away. They will indeed speak. Give them the opportunity and see how you feel as you hold crystals in your hands or place them on the solar plexus or the heart area of the body, or hold them in front of you during meditation. There are many on your planet who would offer teachings, and there are many books that can be purchased, and there are many who have done great research. And there's much that your science community knows that is not being revealed to you at this time about what these structures are. For it seems they are too simplistic to do what it is that they do. It is like other things on your planet. Those in control wish to make things complicated. They do not wish you to know how simple things are. Do you have another specific question in this area, sir?
The same question pertains to the unique vibratory signature of an object and its imaging. Does this hold true through the universal point, through the singularity, through the one?
It is true that no identities are wiped out. That is why we have said over and over again that worlds overlap, and that a being in one space grows into the space of another in another reality. And the consciousness and identity may merge, and yet may all be unique and individual. Questions?
I have one, and that concerns my recent desire to create flowers in me. Is this another aspect of consciousness that we're trying to bring alive in ourselves?
To a certain extent. It is a desire to be in complete unity, to be able to meld into the consciousness of nature. And it is a form of nature that is delicate and refreshing, and so you relate to it. But it is a symbolic representation of the readiness that you are preparing yourself for to merge with the identity of greater aspects of nature, which indeed is yourself. Would there be any further questions?